Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of Block Play X. I'm Crystal. Again, I'm happy to be the voice accompanying you through today's program like I did yesterday at the physical satellite. For all of you who have missed out on the shenanigans yesterday, Block Play X had a physical curated satellite session here in Singapore where we had over 100 people down for a good time networking for the evening. We had AR and VR games, as you can see in the pictures. And for the people who came, they actually had a welcome drink from our bar partner platform. And people who attended also got to hear from several live panelists from Singapore who were able to make it to the site itself. And other than that, we also made meaningful connections during their time at the event, as we spoke to many interesting projects that shared about their vision with us. We also talked about trends in Web3, user frictions and adoptions, and how brands could actually participate in the Metaverse, and also investments in the Web3 space. If you have missed yesterday's session, don't worry, we got your back. We have had it all recorded and we will make sure that it will be available for catch up next Monday onwards, and the links will actually be sent to you via email. For today, I think we'll be covering another 4 dope panels and we can't wait to actually get into action. Before we actually start the program official, I'd like to thank all of you today for actually taking time out to be here with us. By wanting to stay true to the spirit of Block Play X, the chat box will actually be open, and I see a couple of us already posting messages throughout the entire time. So do chat up with your fellow participants or even drop questions to us. Do drop questions also in the Q&A box during the panel so that it could be addressed during the panel discussion. Let's get started by introducing you to the first panel of the evening, which will be diving into a conversation on play to earn sustainability, where they will discuss about practical approaches to design P2E game economics. On this panel, we'll have Chen Li from Youbi Capital, Ferhad from Metaverse Game Studio, Pedro from DappRadar, Brian Liu from Infinity Ventures Crypto and YGG SEA. Moderating this session will be Justin from Tribe. Justin, please take it away.
Hi, thank you, Crystal, for the quick introduction. So before we begin today's session in itself, it's actually just to kind of quickly define what play to earn games are essentially about. I think everyone here today knows pretty much more that it's kind of like a video game where it harnesses a certain tokenomics to reward players with crypto that has value in the real world or even the virtual world as well. And most of the rewards in itself come in the form of either NFTs or cryptographically unique tokens that can be used to prove ownership of a certain content or even game utility as the players dive deeper into the game itself. So today, let's kind of take a trip down to the play to earn games to understand its beginning, the present state in itself, and potentially what lies ahead for this model. And joining us today are actually a panel of speakers with which Crystal have actually kindly introduced. My name is Justin. I'm from Tribe, and probably to kick things off, let's have the speaker do a round of introduction itself. So let's begin from Brian. Share a little bit more about yourself, and maybe touch a little bit about what is the current interest or opportunity that your company is currently excited about.
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Brian Liu, and I am in Singapore right now. And I'm the founding partner of Infinity Venture Crypto and the co-founder of YGG SEA, which pretty much looks after the whole Southeast Asia region, excluding the Philippines. IVC, we are a $85 million crypto fund that was started in 2021. We are known to have invested in a lot of guilds and have probably done about 86 games since we started about 10 months ago. We've also done quite a lot of incubated projects such as YGG SEA and YGG Japan, and also several other projects such as our song XLD. We're very excited about games and GameFi, and I do believe that over the next 100 million players, that will be onboarded into crypto will most likely be from GameFi.
Okay. Thanks, Brian, for the introduction. Let's have Chen Li up.
Yeah, hi, hello. I'm Chen Li, CEO and founder of Youbi Capital. I just moved to Singapore from New York to join lots of our portfolio companies here. We are a crypto VC that started in 2017, and our thesis is that Web3 is more of a upgrade in the infrastructure. So to help developers scale their throughput of the applications and also abstract the entire blockchain stack away, we invest mostly in layer ones, including most of the major blockchains like Polkadot, Algorand, Solana, Flow, Near, Avalanche, and also as well as data service, data flows, networking layer, data aggregator, cloud service, and smart contract wallets. So a bunch of tools that will help upgrade the entire infrastructure, but to make the user experience invisible of the change in the backend. We also look into the game space very early. So we are one of the earliest investors in YGG, and also invested in a bunch of games. We are also, I think 2021, we also actively played Mobox and DeFi Kingdom. Very happy to be here.
All right. Thanks, Chen Li, for the quick introduction. Let's have Hart next. Hart, you're on mute. Sorry.
Yeah, as usual. Well, I can first talk about a little bit about myself and the game we're making. First of all, thanks for inviting me here to this awesome event with so many experienced good people. So thank you for that. I'm the CEO of Metaverse Game Studios. We're making our flagship game, Angelic. I've been a game development industry veteran, making games for decades now. Started my own game development studio and released my first AAA game at a very early age, and then worked as a product leader on many cutting-edge technology projects during my career, games and otherwise. And right now I'm the CEO of Metaverse Game Studios and contributing to making of Angelic wherever I can, very many hats. And Angelic is our flagship game. I'll tell you more about that in a minute, but first I'll tell you a little bit more on the background and team. We started experimenting with Web3 technologies and how they can be integrated into traditional ways we know games to be fun, way back in 2016, actually. And with very few of us originally, and pretty much no budget, but we just wanted to make another game. And then we actually named ourselves Metaverse before that name was known to most. And honestly, I had no idea that name would just become such a staple for Web3 environments. And now we're, as I said, we're named Metaverse Game Studios. And then we've had many roadblocks and even went into hiatus for a few years. But in 2020, 21, our CEO, Arkan, refocused on the project and rebuilt an amazing team and started the current version of Angelic. And it's so a big milestone for us was being able to raise the close to $10 million earlier this year. And I think that's kind of put us on the radar, as much as also just showing the quality of the product we're making. And internally, we're really proud that we're able to do this with a game product that prioritizes making a game fun. And I know that seems obvious, but a lot of times that hasn't been always the focus in this sector, as we know at this point. But perhaps the biggest thing we're proud of, is the kind of team we built. And it's pretty amazing. We have people who have worked on projects like Halo and League of Legends and Far Cry, and we have a really amazing game development based team who worked on companies like Crytek and Bungie and even Oculus and such. Yeah, I don't want to keep going just on a solo presentation, but that's a little bit about us, and maybe just tell you a little bit about Angelic. Our game is just really in a bit. It's a sci-fi RPG, and it's blockchain based. We're using the Solana. We're still sticking with Solana, and I can speak more about that, when the time permits. But that's our flagship product, and it's we're trying to make a AAA game, and that's what our focus is with our almost 70 people team now. That's about us.
Thanks, Had, for the comprehensive introduction. Next up, and the last speaker on the panel, Pedro, would you like to do an introduction of yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone, and thanks to BlockPlayX for the invitation. I am Pedro Herrera, the head of research at DappRadar, and just a bit of background about me. I'm a gamer at heart, and before joining DappRadar, I was a 6-year finance and data consultant at EY. I got involved with the crypto space around 2017, before the big bull run, and got in love with blockchain technology around that time. I joined DappRadar 1 year ago and started trading NFTs and getting my hands into blockchain games a lot. And for those of you who don't know DappRadar yet, we are the world's Dapp store, powered by the Radar token and governed by our DAO. We are a decentralized platform that aims to connect any type of approved app, and by approved app, I mean we look very thoroughly about not listing any scam or rug pull apps. And we basically focus on DeFi, NFTs, and of course, blockchain games in the whole industry. And we try to connect and distribute these dApps to their corresponding audience, whether it's gamers, NFT degenerates, yield farmers in DeFi and venture capitals. And basically, we show our audience the most important metrics of our industry, divided by each blockchain vertical. And we complement it with the content we generate daily, from educational perspectives to thorough industry analysis, trends, and relevant news. And well, on top of that, we are also recently innovating and contributing to the Web3 community. Soon we will release cross-chain single token staking, and this means it's the first type of token where you basically stake our Radar ERC version, but allow you to yield rewards in cheaper version of blockchains like BNB or Polygon for the moment. Also, we have our portfolio tracker that allow users to monitor their investments across DeFi and NFTs, basically. And we have an NFT value estimator based on machine learning algorithms. And we're in the process of integrating NFT game items into the machine learning loop. So I don't want to get more into that as well. So that's what me and DappRadar in a nutshell. And yeah, again, very excited to be here.
All right. Thanks, Pedro, for the introduction. So let's probably begin by going down a little bit of what I call a memory lane in that sense. Maybe for everyone here today to kind of briefly share what was the original intent of play to earn games, or the model essentially. And it has been around for a while. And also let's also discuss how much it has changed over time so far, based on the present state itself. So maybe Brian, you would like to kick this off.
Sorry about that. Can you repeat that question again?
Yeah, so let's probably discuss a little bit more about the original intent of play to earn games. And how has it changed over the time, especially now that it has been around for quite some time already?
Yeah, so if you understand the history of mobile games, the first ones really started off as a pay to play, where you really had the Candy Crushes, where every time you needed to go to a new level or you run out of energy, you would pay 25 cents or $1 back in the day, and you can go to the next one. And then came the freemium games. And the freemium games is pretty much where I got my first exposure into games where you could play for free, but if you really wanted to win, you would have to pay for it. And then I guess that kind of transformed into play to earn. Whereas a lot of the freemium games, you had all these players spending thousands of dollars or even hundreds or even millions of dollars on certain games, and they wouldn't own anything inside of those games. I guess the example I would like to use is in World of Warcraft, you would go ahead and have, you would farm for gold, and you would then have these farming centers in China that were farming for gold, and then they would sell it to the players. That is really where the play to earn and the grinding kind of started. But then Blizzard saw how profitable it was and decided to cut it off and do it in-house, because that breached the terms of service. Because as a Web 2 game, you didn't own any of the products in your account. It belonged to the games, the publishers. So when play to earn came around, and you would be able to grind, you would be able to earn the tokens, and then if you would be able to sell them, that all of a sudden was something that was a huge hit with grinders, or people that actually understood that the more you grinded, the more time that you spent on it, that you can actually make money playing these games. So that is really the evolvement and how, in my opinion, GameFi has evolved.
Okay, so Had, you've been pretty much started an interest on that area as well. Do you have anything to kind of add on from that perspective?
Which perspective exactly?
What the intent from your perspective of what a play to earn game was for, and you've been around for a while. What do you think have also kind of changed?
Yeah, it's been interesting because I think the intention kind of depended on who was making what. I think we had a few people who had intentions of including, looked at it from a more technology perspective, where blockchain technology enables us to do some things we haven't been able to do in games before, like giving people a deeper sense and literally able to give ownership over their characters and items and things like that, being able to influence the game and many things, as we all know. So blockchain gave that ability to people. However, as far as intentions go, I think what happened in the industry is that when there's economics involved with it, and a lot of companies started, perhaps many who haven't even made games before, and some who have been making a lot of free-to-play smaller games, which are easier to make, takes less time to make. So a lot of those kind of came into the picture, and of course, with the hype, there was a lot of investment going into so many areas and so many companies. So the initial, I can't speak too much into the intention, but the initial phase, which I think is kind of came to an end, in my opinion, was this making a lot of little games that were, and when I say little, I don't mean little by the amount of money they made, because some of them made a lot of money, but I mean in the game wise, as far as a game project goes, a lot of them didn't go very deep and far as far as making a fun game. It was more around literally making money with the game, where the play to earn name came from. And so I think the intention was play to earn, right? So that actually covers the whole thing. And I think the intention has been shifting to, more and more people are using the word play and earn, as play and earn. And now I think that's even phasing out, because it's, we're more and more realizing to make a game that's fun, the intention is going to keep shifting more to play, and then maybe earn, alongside. There's nothing wrong with that, but just the focus has been shifting over time, is all I would say.
Yeah. Thanks, Had. Pedro, anything else to add on to this?
I totally agree with Had. Like, if you think about the evolution of gaming, video games started probably in the 70s as a way to entertain people, to get them immersed into a new reality, get away from the problems that they may have in real life, and create a new reality so they can immerse and have fun there. So at some point at the beginning, I think the main model and the basic premise was to engage as much people as possible. And how do games did that? It was, well, we are going to offer them a way to monetize their playing time. And this is how we started to see the rise of play to earn. And I totally agree that over the time, this basic model has evolved into more how we are going again into the basic premise of video games of being fun, rather than basically just a mining game. For example, I don't want to throw out games, but there are a lot of examples in the industry that they're basically not games, they're basically mining interfaces disguised as games, where users will click only and they will start earning rewards. But it's great to see that the focus of the industry is now turning into AAA games, really interesting games that are, again, going back to the premise of entertainment, and play and earn is going to become a reality. And I think it's going to be the way how blockchain games are going to be the key to mass adoption.
Yep. So coming from more of a capital's perspective, Chen Li, what do you think these play to earn kind of games have evolved over time?
You mean over after last few years, or from the traditional game to the blockchain game?
Essentially the last few years in itself.
I think there had been maybe the first one would be the CryptoKitties, and that was when people able to generate profit by breeding new kitties. But I think they didn't have a token, and there was no a very streamlined process of allowing players to just invest time and get reward regardless of their skill, regardless of whether they enjoy the process or not. So I think what Axie did so successfully was they took a page from the DeFi yield farming games. That's why the games are called GameFi instead of real games, because the difference was there were no true players or consumers. Most people in the games, they're not really there for the gaming experience, but for the APR. So that really, in the bull market, really directly led to the rise of Axie, brought it billions of dollars of revenue and millions of users, but also crashed almost immediately because there was no cushion or buffer to absorb people that are selling tokens. But in a bull market, it was a perfect model to keep attracting new users and by boosting for the existing use. So I think there are some new games that definitely, like Stefan. Stefan is named as rent to earn, but essentially it's the same. You have to acquire assets before you're able to enjoy the yield reward. But what they did was they allow people to upgrade their shoes and also use their shoes to engage their friends and to create some social vanity, so that people may eventually not just cash out by selling all the assets. So that definitely created some friction for people to freely enter and exit the game as yield farmers. But I think eventually the blockchain games will come down to something similar to the traditional ones that will provide people a good experience, a mental enjoyment, and then convert some of the players or farmers to consumers to really spend money or introduce merchants that will inject external value to the game system to keep it sustainable.
Okay, thanks for everyone's input. So we have talked about how the birth of Web3 play to earn games essentially stems out from Web 2, right? As Brian mentioned, it's just kind of how it was from lots of the games that has been around, and people not basically owning the assets that it's actually available, to moving to the current play to earn games where players do get an opportunity to kind of earn something for themselves. And then Had kind of talked about from the current play to earn to play and earn, and kind of potentially move on to, well, maybe play and maybe earn in that sense. So with this kind of shift in terms of the focus of the game in itself, we all know that at the beginning where first play to earn game kind of was around, lots of people kind of rush into it because it is essentially an opportunity, right, for them to kind of have something of their own outside of the games in itself. But with this shift, do you think anyone in the panel, feel free to kickstart this. Do you think then that with the shift, does it actually impact the adoption at its current state?
I don't understand the question.
So we've seen how play to earn games have actually changed, right? From play to earn, and now much more currently we are talking about the focus is on play and earn, right? And many players at the beginning rush into play to earn because they have an opportunity to earn a token for themselves and essentially kind of potentially sell them off. With this change of format in that sense, or the focus of the games in itself, do you think it will impact its adoption?
I'll go ahead and take this one. I was one of those guys that spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on a game called Game of War, and in that game, I had an alliance of over 1,000 people that were also spending, if not thousands of dollars, also hundreds of thousands along with me in that game. In that game, there was no such thing as play and earn because it was just fun for us. With the publishers of Summoner's Arena, which is Come to Us, or with Fun Plus's State of Survival, are these games that brought in billions and billions of dollars of revenue. Come to Us did 4.5 billion last year. Fun Plus did 2 billion. Both of these huge publishers are now entering into the Web3 space. Our Come to Us token just launched about 3 months ago, and they are now taking the games that have made billions of dollars and converting them into Web3. That in itself is the future of play and earn, because these games already have a huge audience of people that were playing for fun. And now you're introducing an element where everything that you own inside that account belongs to you. I mean, in Game of War, I had so many useless, gold, food, gems, materials that I could have sold. And if I could have done that, I would have probably made back half of what I spent. But I couldn't do that because it wasn't a Web3 game.
Yep.
So
So yeah, sorry.
yeah, that's a really good point. As I'm listening to you, I also want to offer a perspective, or one thought I have is that we're trying to talk about the evolution of play to earn, play and earn in one basket, like it's going to be this one thing. I think there are going to be, what I expect is that more and more we're going to see a split of two sectors within within the industry, where there's going to be some games kind of like what we saw with free to play games, right? There's been like this, when the mobile revolution happened and everybody has their phones in their hands and the free to play came in, we started seeing a lot more games that were fit to be more for that platform, that you played on a phone, that was a mobile game, and they're not the same as what you play on an Xbox. It's so when we say games, they're not all the same. So the adoption will kind of go on both sides. I think that there will be some adoption, towards making a play to earn, play and earn kind of games where people are more focused on, maybe making money is a bigger part of the game, within the game. And but then if you notice, we haven't seen big game companies jumping in with the blockchain games, right? I mean, if you look at big game companies who produce tens of millions of dollars, or even sometimes over $100 million budgets for one game, anything, the names, all the big names, they've been very shy. I mean, when I go down to, when I talk to my friends who are in those companies, honestly, they roll their eyes when I say blockchain still to this day. So there's, as far as adoption goes, I think the changes we are seeing towards making a game fun to play is actually going to increase the adoption from those guys, right? Because like Brian was talking about, like, for example, the ownership of your assets and character, and something like that is so huge. I mean, imagine what a game everyone knows, like World of Warcraft or something, where what happened to all those characters we all built and played, and and they always belong to the game makers, right? Now we have this opportunity where they are yours, and they can actually, you can perhaps one day you can even take them from one platform to another, and have it be exchangeable. So I think it's just the big wave is yet to come as far as games go and the blockchain technologies go. And I think the adoption wise, this shift towards making more fun games will help adoption, because once the big guys see, somebody like Microsoft goes and says, wow, this game is really fun, and then we want to make a game like this. We haven't seen a single game like that yet, right? We haven't seen a single game where somebody who makes Halo is going to go and say, whoa, this game is really cool. Let's make a game, kind of compete with this. We don't have any game like that yet. It's all been more towards the play to earn side. And now I think we're seeing a balance. So there will be a bigger adoption of that on that side. But like I said, while that adoption is happening, I think we're going to see some shifts in this, the second sector of, I think at first I'm like, oh, play to earn is just going to go away and this adoption will happen. But now I'm seeing it as like, there will, I think, be two lanes of, and then I think we just have to pick the lane we want to play on.
Yeah. Pedro, Chen Li, anything else to kind of add on to this?
No, just very quickly, I think going along the same line, one of the biggest challenge that blockchain gaming and Web3 is in general facing is the resistance from the traditional industry. We saw what happened in October last year with Ubisoft when they tried to introduce NFTs into Ghost Recon, right? The community basically slashed and called them out. So this is one of the biggest challenges that we are going to be facing, but I think we will eventually get there. It's all about educating people and showing them the advantages of NFTs and the advantages of blockchain technologies as a whole, how they enable and democratize ownership and enable an underlying economy. So that, I think for me, that's going to be the real deal changer, and hopefully we'll get there soon.
Yeah, I can also relate to Brian's feeling about his investment assets in the previous games just went waste. So yeah, I think the priority for games is to be fun first, and then create a depth of content for people to experience, and then from there, I think players are going to be motivated to farm and then to trade. I think the best example in my mind is Diablo 2, which has a huge item system, and for a single player, it would take probably a lifetime to get some of the most rare items, which the only way probably to get those items to create some certain builds or item combinations is to trade. So that's why I think when Blizzard brought back these 20 years old game, there are still lots of players, and the trading volume on a lot of these websites that had Diablo 2 item marketplaces are still very high.
Okay. Yeah, Brian, do you like to add on?
No, I think I took up too much time already.
No worries. Yeah, so we are kind of almost towards the end of the panel in that sense. But before we kind of end for today's panel, maybe each of you would like to, provide any advice or any insights that anyone who is looking to develop these games moving forward that has utility of blockchain, what are the one or two key considerations they should really looking at as we move away from play to earn?
I'll start off with that. Right now, most of these games that have launched their token have copied or have launched the game. GameFi games have copied the death spiral of Axie, and they've copied that because Axie was the first game and it worked. It made sense. But this next iteration of GameFi 2.0, if you guys don't control the token emission, if there is no mechanism where the token is going back into the ecosystem to either be burnt or be spent, or somehow where there is the secondary token, which is not unlimited, unlimited minting of that token, the tokenomics of these games need to be changed, or else you'll have all sorts of issues in the future with the death spiral that you're gonna incur. And there's a lot of companies out there that are claiming that they have fixed it. For example, there's one called Irreverent Labs, mecha fighting, where they just raised from Andreessen, and IVC was part of that round, where they claim they have 100-year tokenomics, where if someone doesn't buy one of the NFTs or someone doesn't spend, that the tokenomics in itself will be able to sustain itself. So I can't speak much about it because it's not out yet, but that company, Irreverent Labs, is building something very special. And soon, over the next 2-3 months, you guys will see a pretty amazing tokenomics out there that I believe will be the future.
Yeah, I also think it's all about tokenomics. Sustainable is something that creates value for the community over an extended period of time. And if you look at the successful play-to-earn games that are on the market already, it's basically just a hype cycle. And then when everybody has gained value, of course, they will face sell pressure, so the value will come crashing down. So for a game to be sustainable, it needs to provide value and utility beyond the token. it needs to tackle the primary goal of a video game, which is entertaining people, right? So this is right now the main focus. And also one important trend to keep in mind is the metaverse and how blockchain games are going to be an important part of that. The metaverse is going to be a new way of economy. We will see new jobs that are basically going to be gamers playing inside a metaverse, video game designers, and so on. So I think the future is quite bright, but yeah, we need to take a bit care about the sustainability and yeah, step back a bit on the tokenomics part.
Had.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything said here. I would just say really shortly that I think, we might see some ups and downs, but, looking at it from a technologist perspective, seeing this, the development of, when we say crypto, it sounds like it's just a few years old, but, cryptography goes decades back, and some of these distributed technologies go decades back. And so the technology has been coming and it's here and we are able to use it. We have the tools, and I don't know, whatever happens in the market, this and that, but I think we just have some, new amazing technology that gives us all these different ways to implement into games. And I'm super excited about that. And I see that it's kind of unstoppable, that it will be integrated into all games, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I have a slightly different perspective on this topic. So I think tokenomics was definitely key to propel the games to extremely high valuation and millions of users during a bull market. But I think eventually what drives the game to become the kind of the leader to bring crypto to the mainstream is still going to be the content. So we look forward to a bunch of new content creation tools. For example, for the iPhone 12 and 13, there is a laser radar to the back of the phone, just below the cameras, that allow you to scan items in real life. There's many applications already being built for that function called 3D scanners. So the items, the 3D models scanned using that laser camera have the same resolution, has like millions of triangles in it, and they have resolution comparable to models created in Unreal engines. And also the entry bar is extremely low, so everybody can create 3D models. So with technology like that, they allow millions of players, not just the developers or designers, but millions of regular retail users to create the content. In my opinion, it's similar to what happened with the a smartphone that carries a camera that eventually gave birth to Instagram and TikTok. So I think there is going to be a paradigm shift initiated by these content creation tools.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks, Brian, Pedro, Had, and Chen Li for taking time today to kind of help everyone here who's attending a session to understand a little bit more basically how it all started, and the shift that is actually kind of moving towards to. And I hope that this kind of provides a really exciting anticipation of what it really can become. And hopefully it kind of drives everyone into the right direction when it comes to this kind of play and earn model as we move into it as well. So we are running over a little bit, apologies, but thank you all for taking the time today, and I hope those who are attending today's session really enjoyed the content for today.